Well, I've been an activist and writer for nearly 50 years. And I think in that 50 years, I've been an anti-imperialist, I've been an anti-racist, and I've also been a feminist. And all of those things have gone together. You can't separate them. And Sheila suggested when I was asked to speak, that I speak about the Grunwick strike or about other strikes. And it's true that I did support and write about not only the Grunwick strike, but a whole host of other strikes of particularly of South Asian workers, but also of Black workers generally. But really today, I don't feel like talking about that. I want to talk about Palestine because that's where our hearts are today. I want to start off by sending our solidarity and our love to our sisters in Palestine. Who have faced so much. I mean, we've just heard from Nadine. But if you think about it, we can't even begin to comprehend what it's like to lose your children, to have, amputations, to give birth without anesthetic, and all the other horrors which we have seen on social media. What the genocide has shown us is what imperialism is really about. Maybe we didn't know this to this extent before. If I think about myself, I've lived through the Vietnam War, I've lived through the war in Iraq, Libya, so many places, and they were horrific. But this is something which comes right into your private space, live streamed, image by image. So you can't forget it, it's part of your life. I know that, these things have happened before. We know about slavery, about colonialism. When I think now, I realize that I didn't even know half of what all that was about. Because now I have seen it. I've seen what happened in Gaza. I can imagine what happened in all those other places. And the mask is off. The mask of imperialism has been torn off. It'll never be replaced. For all of us who have lived through this, we know what America is like. We know what Europe is like. We know about their racism. We know that they think their lives matter and ours don't. Palestinians don't. We know about the complicity of the US and Britain and France and Germany. And I have to add one other country, and that is India. India is complicit in the genocide. Sorry? Canada, of course. Canada. But the point which I want to make is we don't think of India being part of that group. And yet, India is complicit as much as any of the others. We have, of course, the rise of fascism across the world. I mean, in some places, it's outright fascism, like in India and Israel and so on. In other places, it's hovering on the edge, like in this country. I don't know if you saw the prevent guidelines, where we're told that even if you're an anti-fascist, you're a potential terrorist. So, I mean, what do they want? We've got to be fascists to not be terrorists? And of course, if you are, an anti-racist, if you are any of those things, then you're a potential terrorist. What's happened in India is, once upon a time, India supported Palestine. And, our leaders went into Gaza. Gandhi made statements saying that Palestine belongs to the Arab, just like France belongs to the French. So what happened? And what did happen was, in 2014, the BJP government took over with Modi as the leader. And the BJP is a fascist party, openly fascist. And what we see in India now is like a mirror image of Israel. Although there are huge differences between Israel and India, and yet we see the enormous similarities created by deliberate copying and created by the similarities in ideology. So we have this ideology of Hindu supremacy, which is called Hindutva. And Hindutva is very, very, very similar to Zionism. And the methods which Modi is using are also copied. And I'll give you a few examples. The first thing is, just to say a little bit more about India. Since the BJP took over, India has had 200 years of colonial rule and impoverishment. It became independent in 1947. And since then, it kind of pulled itself together and was doing reasonably well. The BJP comes to power and the economy goes downhill. So now we're a country where we've got many billionaires. Some of the richest people in the world are Indian. And we also have the poorest people. India leads the world in malnutrition of children, of stunting of children. India is very low down on the global hunger index, below all its neighbors, below most African countries. And this is India we're talking about. We think of it as this wonderful, glittering place, but that's the reality of the people. In terms of Israel, India has been buying Israeli arms. More than 50% of Israeli arms have been bought by India. And that has given the economy a huge boost, the economy of Israel. Not only that, if you think about India and its billionaires and its poor people, both of these groups have been mobilized for the benefit of Israel. And so we have the corporate power of the group called Adani. Now, Adani is somebody who has bankrolled Modi, but he's also got taken over the Haifa port in Israel. And he's now, I think, now they're planning another port in Gaza. And I have no doubt that Adani will be in there. Adani also manufactures drones which are manufactured in India and then sent to Israel. Hermes drones, which have not only are they deadly, but they also can be used for facial recognition. The other thing is, we were talking about the Great March of Return, and India has even learned from that. It sent one of the chief ministers of its states to Israel during that period of the Great March of Return. And now that same man is using it against the farmers who are protesting in India. The same methods, peaceful farmers being attacked by drones, and many have been blinded and in fact also killed. So in this situation, India's trade unions are fighting back. The water and dock workers union have refused to handle any armaments going to Israel. And that's what we in South Asia Solidarity are for. We amplify all of these struggles. So I want to just say, before I end, I want to just tell you something which I heard a couple of days ago at a meeting where there were women from Birzeit University, feminists, who were talking. There was one woman who was from Gaza, and she said that the pain which we feel, the anguish which we feel, the agony which we go through, all of that drives our resistance. And when there's resistance, there's hope. And that's what we've always got to remember. From there, I think I'll leave you just to say once more, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be